Could U.S. consumers be looking at $7 a gallon gas? I can't even get the words out. It is a possibility raised by a new study from Harvard Center for Science and International Affairs. The report says that reaching the Obama administration's carbon emissions guidelines could require gas at more than $7 a gallon by 2020. Joining us now is Morrow, a professor at Iowa State University. He co-authored the study while serving as a research fellow at Harvard. Professor Morrow, great to have you. So $7 a gallon gas. I mean, that sounds at first glance outrageous. I mean, how can you get the American consumer, even if the economy were stronger and in full recovery mode, more strong than it is, but how can you get that? How can you get people to buy that?
Well, I think I'd just like to start out by saying that what our study concludes is that tackling these sort of reductions in both oil consumption and greenhouse gas emissions from transportation is just going to be a big challenge. So if we want to tackle this challenge, we have to directly address driving, the use of vehicles. Our current policy approaches focus on the fuel economy of vehicles, the technology alone. So that's why higher fuel prices are essential if we want to reduce oil consumption and greenhouse gas emissions. The Energy Information Administration already thinks that by 2020 gas might be above $5 a gallon, and if we want to obtain significant reductions, that might need to be as high as you said, $7 a gallon in 2020 and even $8 in 2030, just to deal with driving directly.
All right, so there are also proposals out there to give tax credits to people buying hybrid and electric cars. So why isn't that a good alternative to boosting the price of gas?
So there are two reasons, really. So first, tax credits really only address new vehicles, and there's a very slow turnover in the vehicle fleet. Get those new vehicles in with high fuel economy. It takes a while for them to really affect the national fleet average fuel economy and national fuel consumption and greenhouse gas emissions. But our study found they were just very expensive to implement. The really aggressive tax credits we implemented amounted to about an automotive industry bailout every year. And to get a real example of that, we can just look back at the Cash for Clunkers program that happened in the summer of 2009 that was very successful, didn't last very long, and cost U.S. taxpayers about $3 billion.
Hey, let me ask, I lived in London and Berlin for years, and you see $7 a gallon gasoline there already if you can get that low. One thing you notice when you fill up is that the pump always says as a disclaimer to the consumer, by the way, 89% of this liter of gasoline is the money you're paying is taxes. When you project $7 a gallon gas by 2020, how much of that is taxes and how much of it is actually the cost of the product being passed on from the company?
So the taxes are significantly higher than they are today. They're between $1 and even $3, but that's not most of the actual cost of fuel. So as I said, the Energy Information Administration, whose model we used to do this study, projects already that gas could be as high as $5 a gallon in 2020.
So how can you raise gas prices here in the U.S. to this $7 forecast and still have economic growth?
Well, our study found that just the macroeconomic projections of the model don't say that this will bring, even these sort of high prices will bring the economy to a halt. GDP losses are only about 1%, and that's relative to the Energy Information Administration's 2009 annual energy outlook forecast. And that doesn't even mean the economy will contract. So the economy is still growing at 2 or 3%. I think when a lot of people hear about $7 a gallon gas or even higher, they think about it tomorrow. This is going to happen to me, tomorrow, and I'm going to have to pay 2-3 times as much to drive to work. That's not true. It's still a gradual transition, could actually really help develop new alternative transportations, public transportation, help automakers get really high fuel economy vehicles on the road for people to use to offset some of those costs. And also, it may be that some kind of income tax reductions are made.
Running out of time. Morrow, appreciate it. Harvard Research Fellow of Iowa State, professor as well. Thanks so much.